Good morning. Surprise, surprise, it's the inflation. No shit. Excuse me. Anyway, kind of ridiculous, but all right. So, earlier in the week, we talked about a lot of stuff, the weekly chart, the daily chart being in opposition of each other, the confusion. It's going to be a little difficult. Yeah, the two out of sync time frames, and I talked about building a base, building a base over the few days that could be a launching pad up or down. Clearly, it's resolved itself to the downside, and there's a void below. So potentially a measured move on the weekly time frame, eventually getting down here. How fast does it get down there? Right, that's the thought process right now. And always two scenarios. I see no reason that today's bar would turn into a topping tail, but breakdown failures, Mr. Schizophrenic, just have it in mind that a move like this creates a void. Until proven otherwise, we assume it's going down. At some point, there's going to be a bounce. You see the futures are getting close to 3,500. It's a whole number. So I'm just looking at what's the open interest there today. How much today makes a big deal? I don't know. But 35, 36, 35, 4,000. So for a 1 day expiration, 4,000 versus everything else, it's something. All right. Let's look at spiders. The October is where we have to look. Yeah. So the October, I guess the third week, which would be the 21st, is the third Friday of the month. 24. Huge. Yeah. I'm just scrolling down. 18. Give me a sec. 19. 20. Okay, that's there every day. 21. And that is the weekly and monthly expiration, which when you have the combination there, always going to be the biggest spot. And 82,000 and change, 28,000 and change. Okay, so that's the biggest relative. So it makes sense. Why would it hold? Well, it's just a whole number. So for the moment, that is a reference point to consider. Spiders are actually below 350, just kind of hanging there. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of a little blip up. Wow, look. So this is why I look at the spiders and just look at where that is. That's a pretty big gap, and it's into this potentially gap fill area. And so, gap fills, you want to be aware of where they are. Okay, you see the Dow there? It's not quite into the gap fill yet, but you see this has got the biggest gap on the diamonds right there, which you can see. So just, be aware. That's why I have this alert here, which I guess is going to go off once it opens up and opens down there. I wanted to be aware of that before it got there. And you can see the cursor on the daily chart. It's not quite there, so it's got to drop a little bit further. But you see where it is? It's right at this close on the daily time frame. So, we'll see how it handles that. Dropping that far that fast. Clearly, there's going to be a hesitancy to keep selling for the moment, right? Yeah. Well, sure thing. 3,300 would definitely be bigger, but you got to take it step by step. Like as if whether it's an open interest or a um, a support point. You look at the one and then see what the reaction is to there, and we look at multiple indices to see which has what. Maybe one gets there before the other, and so the Qs or the NQs here already broke these lows, and they already broke the same point in October of 2020 and down below. So the thing to consider, is like 10,000, you know, and look at 10,000. It's not much, but you see that little cluster of overlapping opens and closes there. There's some little bit of support there. So what I look for is, okay, there's essentially nothing here in the Qs, and you might think, oh my God, that's going to go down to the pandemic low. Well, I don't know. I'm not going that far to think that. I know there's only small amount of support. However, you go and look at SPX, and we see that it's got this pretty large area, and so it may get down there. It certainly looks like it's going to, and you can see the weekly. And a few weeks ago, I started pointing out in the letter, this monthly chart, and thinking, okay, whatever we're thinking here, about a bounce, unless it can retrace deep into this monthly bar and this pattern suggesting down, while we can look to play little counter bear trend retracements, unless it can get deep into that bar and close there. This is a moving bar. It's only October 13th. There's a moving bar. It could be down here, by the end of the month. So, and that's what it looks like. So we'll see. Yeah. All right. So let me go back to SPY. So I was automatically thinking for credit spread today, something closer to 3,400 where would have premium, and because we want it to be a no-brainer. And so the moving down is where you're going to have the juice. So 3410 is 75 by 95, and I would think within the first 20 minutes or so, there could be, whatever, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, a continued move to the downside, and something closer to, that's close enough to 3,400. Is it going to get to 3,400 today from there? Well, it could, but that would be a tremendous move. And so you can see my little thing over here, 3,400, where that is, give or take. It's down there. So into some support. Looking for, all right, where's our lines of defense? McFly, there isn't any here unless there's a breakdown failure. So I could imagine the Dow could easily be down 1,000 points today, right? It should be, based on this consolidation that's been going on. So I don't know if there's any juice up above, which should be a no-brainer. 3,600. Just got to scroll here. Yeah, 80 by 90, 3,600, which is up here, not that far away. It should be okay. Whole number, this resistance, it's into the resistance. The downside, I think, is the no-brainer. It drops in the first few minutes, and something near 3,400, it's going to be a no-brainer. So, all right. Good morning, Rod. Good morning, everybody there on YouTube. All right. Curious what Bitcoin is doing here. Down 1,000, breaking these lows. We've been talking about this for a month, right? This consolidation and this whip up and then back down and going nowhere, and the void down below here. So unified voids below, everything coming together now. It's like, hey, perfect storm situation. blood in the streets, screams, you know. Your neighbor's going to be calling you saying, hey, what's going on in the market? What do I do? I'm like, it's your problem. I'm kidding, but well, yeah, it has had this correlation for the longest time. We started talking about this back in March or November here about this correlation. And, you know, as the market has bounced, Bitcoin hasn't been able to do much. So it was like, okay, the market's trying to bounce. Bitcoin's not participating here. Interest rates going up. And remember yesterday when we were going through everything, I was like, the markets were kind of acting positively to an extent. And I was like, damn, they're holding up pretty damn good. And the 3 month had gapped up like that. It's like, yeah, the Fed's going to go with the 3/4, whatever the people are thinking that, oh, maybe it's not going to be so bad. I mean, this was suggesting that this number was going to come in hot like it is. Why is it popping like that? SPY, I went back to SPY, I think, right? We went back to SPY. I know you like me to look at that, DB. So you see, the void, and now it's retesting. So look, if you're a scalper, a ninja scalper down here on the 1 minute, you got a reversal. Maybe it pops up a little bit. You grab some, a point or two or whatever, if that's your game. But, you see where the cursor is, gapping down, and there's nothing below. So now it's got a void above and it's got a void below. So just like we talked about earlier in the week, this being down here, hey, if it can't bounce and it builds this launching pad going up or down, well, the concept is the same on a 5-minute chart. It came down and it goes sideways here, 20 minutes or whatever, and it starts to break. There's nothing to stop it. It should keep going down. So, okay. We looked at NQs. The Russell's got to be going down, right? Wide range bar breaking. Same void. There's the launching pad. And it was making resistance, breaking lower. It's got room to go down. So as we look at different markets, they all got room to go down unless they can immediately turn around. And it's like, why should they turn around? Why? Some other news going to come out that's going to negate what they just said? Yeah. All right. I know, but it came down in such a power way. So one of the things, like if you guys have been with us for a while, one of the things that you hear me say, I talk about different concepts, and one of the things is here's a wide range bar. It's a power bar. How do you read a power bar? It's power. It's going to go in the direction of the power. However, it's the weakest link in the chart. It's the weakest link in the chart. Right? It doesn't mean it's going to go up into there, but there's nothing to stop it from going up. Now, when you look at a power bar, one of the questions is it an igniting bar or is it an ending bar? And why during the week, right, earlier in the week, it was like, okay, it's at this support. It builds a launching pad. So while it isn't kind of, well, it is kind of more or less than like this, not exactly, because this, started the way down from the top, whereas this has been going down for a while. And this went up, and that's an igniting bar, where this one went sideways, and it's an igniting bar. So, this is at this low. Everything else is below lows. And so, well, there you go. And this is starting to move down. So here it is. Do you want to get on board here? Well, you certainly could. Right? And real quick, if you're wrong, it gets back above there. Now, these bars, maybe don't look it on the chart here, but they're pretty big. And, dollar-wise, they're going to be decent size. So you got to know how much a contract, how much is a contract, dollar-wise, how big is that bar, How many points is that? How many dollars is that with a stop above that high and this high and so on, or to the pivot? You got to do those calculations. In the Facebook, I won't post anything in the Facebook group, bro. It takes too long to do that. Keep it open and then post their trades. So, all right, we looked at Bitcoin. Here's the dollar moving up, short-term interest rate moving up, everything moving down. Everything's in lockstep. Now, this isn't above there, but it's in an uptrend. There was a deep retracement. So as long as the dollar's going up, this is going up. Right? Like that. This is going down. And so silver, that was holding up. You guys get the picture here. Down, oil. Now, oil had that rally. Let's pull it in where it's going to have a buy setup. But you throw a little bit more gas on the inflation fire, and let oil start ripping higher, and so on. So, start to an ugly day. It looks like it can get uglier. We'll see how it unfolds. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. So pre-market, I was hoping this was going to be the turn day and we could start trading 30-minute highs. And then at least we were smart enough. We didn't give one single swing trade yesterday. I said, I'm not jumping in front of this CPI number. And I said, we'll trade it whichever way it goes, unless it's excessive. And then, we're going to have a harder time getting on board when things are big. And I would call this pretty big gap down low. So I really don't know what I'm going to do here at the open. I had a number of bullish setups. Let's just go through. DPs. Well, here, let's start with these earnings ones. All right, so the DCT at earnings was a bullish gap coming in, no pattern. It's actually a bear 1, 2, 3. TSM was up, gave it up. BlackRock is in pain, gapping down $20, but there's no reversal yet, none. We had a big list yesterday of double bottoms that were on my list for today. Like here's one, Weyerhaeuser. Look at that beautiful double bottom. And now the gap's gonna, whack them all out. Infi, no pattern, gapping down a little bit. WBA, I had posted this as a long over 30-minute high, but now, it was gapping over this red bar. And this is what we call a failed sell setup after a deep retracement. And now we got to cancel it. So let me do that right now. Cancel WBA, the gap's messing it up. And so, all right, that was the only new idea there. And fast, that's a continuation breakdown. I think I said this yesterday when we were looking at these. I said, if this opens anywhere near the closing price, that is a beautiful continuation short because it's been going sideways for 4 bars with 2 topping tails. So when we get big gaps like this and we're bearish, but we're having a hard time finding compelling setups, this is exhibit A of I want to short near resistance in overlapping bars, not something that's down 4 fluid bars in a row. So that's a great example, but the problem is it's gapping too much. Well, it's gapping down $2, but it's worth watching on a balance. I'm gonna put it right here because that looks lower daily, weekly, monthly. So that's the best new short watch I see so far. Bain bought 359 puts. Where would you put sell to close? Well, you know the answer to that thing. We had a big old gap, and you know how tight do you want to protect it for a day trade swing? I would use, you know, you got different reference points. You got 5-minute high, you got 30-minute high, you got you know, this little pivot right here pre-market. But I would be looking to protect them. And if you have multiple lots, you know, divide it up. DPZ, this was the only one I did sell puts on yesterday. I sold the 270s. So at least I'm gonna have a nice gain there at the open. And it's also a good pattern as a new trade. If I were looking at an earnings stock, I would say this is fantastic. It's a double bottom, new low plus, and gap up, 30-minute high. I'll be looking to sell the 300 puts that expire tomorrow. Fantastic setup. CMC, not much volume. We'll come back to you. TGL, no volume, near gone. RCL, we were looking at yesterday for selling naked puts. Now that it's down a little bit, I'll come back to that and look again. Jets were up. Today's Thursday. On Tuesday, American Airlines started getting the sector up with some positive news. Delta announced earnings today. That's you know, everything's giving it up for anything to. Delta had earnings, anything to be holding their pre-market gap up is relative strength. I'm glancing at the Dow 30 travelers. Well, there's only one print there, but my minder is showing up $1.59, and that WBA had earnings up a few pennies. Everything else is down, down, down. This was a carryover list from yesterday. Airbnb over yesterday's high was going to be a put spread. And look, it started off great. Everything's changed with that CPI number. I'm just so glad we didn't jump in front of it. Below, it's a sloppy buy setup, but a beautiful range expansion. So I'm going to set an alarm here at 115. And that's a put spread idea. Yeah, talking about oil and inflation, I saw on the news that Biden's over there trying to kiss, you know, Saudis, you know what, to at least delay the production cut until after the elections. Everything's politics and money and greed. But yeah, I wonder with today's shellacking of inflation and the market, I wonder how the White House spokespeople are gonna try to spin this story. Look, you know, look at this RLMD. This, I confess, when I do things or I'm in a bad trade or whatever the case, I have been trying to sell naked 7.5 puts on this for a couple of weeks, and I finally gave up because there wasn't the attractive premium there anymore. But look at this gap down, $32 down to 6 and change. So that's the problem of dealing with bios that are not diversified. I call them a, you know, one-trick pony. If your business hinges on one or two things, then you're in trouble if it doesn't work, the drug. All right. FLR, McGraw gave me this one. Buy setup, FLR. Can't tell where it's opening. I'm going to set an alarm at 2760. Hopefully that's my put. I was bidding a dime on DPZ. Let's see if that bell is a fill. All right, 2760. Filled. Yeah, I got out of my DPZ. Alex, you remember that trade I did yesterday? You got filled as a nickel? Nice. Hey, you know what, Neil? I originally had a bid of a nickel. I did, and I went in and changed it to a dime just because of the market. So nice. That was a nice gain. Good job. What, I think we sold them for 115, something like that. 120, I forget. All right, so TSM and AMAT now join the party of profit warnings, problems ahead, and that's just getting killed. SMHs, look at that, no reversal. I think I read this thing was down 40% from the high even yesterday, so now it's obviously worse. QDell, why am I looking at you? I don't know. Jets, so yeah, no interest there anymore. RCO will come back. ARI, so here's a couple of kind of the 1, 2, 3s that were on my list here, but that has to get over yesterday's high. Slob back to the high. I was hoping it would consolidate a little bit more. OI, yesterday's high, if you want to set an alarm. Synapse, no interest anymore. Adobe, yep, see that's a great example of you do not have a potent reversal. Let's see what these spreads are on DPZ now. Wow, I thought they would be a lot spreadier. So yeah, we got filled. The 270s are 0 by 10 cents. And I am totally shocked. I've never seen an expensive earnings stock have such a low offer this quick after earnings. That is strange to me. All right, so Adobe, no reversal. This Visco, low alarm. It was gapping up, darn it. We're short $30 puts on this. Still looks fine, but obviously I was hoping that the gap up that we would have a nice profit. All right, this thing got spready too. That's why it's showing me a loss. Market's not bouncing here, which is a little unusual. Here's have some short covering. No, Rob, no, I wasn't doing. No, I am not, but it's on my list. It was on my list to sell $40 puts for tomorrow. Let me see. Let me see how much they are now. I forget what they were yesterday. I think I said 15 cents because I was talking about selling a 30 lot. for 450 bucks. Yeah, that's my memory. All right, so now the 40s are 12 by 20. So, you can get filled at the same 15. So even if you did them yesterday, the gap down's not hurting you because of time decay. Just depends if, that's a trade you feel like putting on right now in this environment. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I got to go through and just weed out my list here. Honeywell was on the long list. I'm going to be doing a lot of pruning today. All these fangs got whacked. I had Google as a put spread over Tuesday's high. And MU, let's cancel both. We only have 2 trades in the weekly options trader, GE. It's against us, but it's not a disaster. Let me set an alarm at 63. The Qs look the weak, not bouncing 5 minutes. And then we have RHI. All right, that's a Bear Island reversal, but we have the 75s, so we still have, plenty of cushion down here, but crazy spreads. Well, let's see if we can get out break even. It's 70 cents.